What does it mean for something to be? When we look at the world around us, we take many things for granted. We see a tree, a chair, a book, and we recognize them as existing. But have you ever paused to think about what it actually means for something to exist? What does it mean for something to be? At first, it seems like a simple question. If you look at a table, you can say, it is there, it exists. But is existence just another feature of an object, like its color, shape, or texture? Or is it something more fundamental? Imagine you walk into a room with a table in it. You can see the table, touch it, and describe its qualities. Now imagine the same room, but empty. The table is gone. But does that mean the room itself doesn't exist? No. The room is still there. And even if you were to close your eyes and not see the room at all, would it stop existing? Of course not. This tells us something important. Being is not just another property of things we see, like their size or color. It's something deeper. It's the foundation of all things that appear to us. Now, let's go a step further. If being is what allows things to exist, can we study it the same way we study other things? Normally, when we want to understand something, we break it down into parts. If we want to understand a tree, we can analyze its roots, trunk, and leaves. If we want to understand a song, we can look at its notes and rhythm. But can we break down being in the same way? Not quite. Being is not something we can hold in our hands, examine under a microscope, or measure with a ruler. It's not a thing we can point to, it's what allows all things to be. Think of it this way. When you turn on a light in a dark room, the objects in the room become visible. The chair, the table, and the walls. All of them are revealed by the light. But can you see the light itself? Not really. You see what the light reveals, but the light itself is just the condition that makes seeing possible. Similarly, being is what allows everything to exist, but it isn't something that appears in the same way as objects do. And that's where things get tricky. If existence is not something we can observe directly, then how do we study it? This is the challenge that philosophers like Sartre and Heidegger have tried to tackle. They ask, is being something that appears to us? Or is it something that remains beyond what we can perceive? For example, when we think of a chair, we might wonder, what does it mean for this chair to be? Is the being of the chair something separate from the chair itself? Or is it simply the fact that we can perceive and interact with it? Heidegger suggests that we often overlook the true nature of being because we are too focused on individual things. We pay attention to objects, the chair, the tree, the book, but we don't think about the deeper reality that makes them possible. It's like watching a movie and getting caught up in the story while forgetting that the screen itself is what allows the images to appear. This idea becomes even more interesting when we consider the experience of absence. Let's say you go to meet a friend at a cafe, but when you arrive, they are not there. You look at the empty chair across from you, and in that moment, you feel their absence. The chair itself seems to hold the missing presence of your friend. This shows us something fascinating. Even not being there can still be a form of being. Sartre takes this idea even further. He argues that being is not just about what is present, it's also about what is absent, what is possible, and what is yet to come. In other words, being is not just a fixed thing, it is always open, always unfolding. So where does this leave us? Can we ever fully understand what it means to exist? Perhaps not in the way we understand ordinary things. But that doesn't mean the question is meaningless. In fact, it may be one of the most important questions we can ask. Because to ask what it means to be is ultimately to ask, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to live? Philosophy doesn't always give us clear answers, but it helps us see the world in a new way. It reminds us that existence is not just about objects sitting in space. It is something dynamic, something mysterious, something that goes beyond what we can see or touch. So the next time you sit in a quiet room or walk down an empty street at night, take a moment to think, what does it mean that I am here? What does it mean that anything is here at all? And in that moment, you might catch a glimpse of the mystery of being.